Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elaine Auld. I'm pleased that so many of you could join us this afternoon to hear some highlights from the 2017-18 Sophe year and also get a preview of what's in store for us going forward for this year. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules this afternoon to join us. Just a few technical details before we get started. All the participants here are, except the host and our guest speakers this afternoon, your leaders are muted. And you do have the option to use either audio by the telephone dial-in numbers that were listed, or you can use your computer speakers, whatever works for you. And we will have a Q&A session at the end of today's webinar, but please feel free to provide questions at any time during this afternoon using our chat box. Today's webinar is being recorded, and we'll be archiving that on Sophe's website for others who were unable to join us today or at the Sophe Annual Conference. This is not a webinar that contains continuing education contact hours, just to be clear. It's a more informal presentation, but we're also very interested in your feedback. This is the first time we've tried to present our all-member business meeting, if you will, outside of the normal Sophe conference, and we appreciate hearing your feedback about today's webinar. So for today's agenda, just really quick, I'll run through a few of the highlights from 2017-18 of this past Sophe year on your behalf. Jeff Goodman, our Sophe treasurer, will be speaking a little bit about our financial highlights, and then we'll be introducing Dr. Angela Mikolaj, your 2018-19 Sophe president. So we had a wonderful conference in Columbus, Ohio just several weeks ago. We're still actually digging out from some of that excitement. We had a total of, I heard today, actually 878 attendees and more than 33 exhibitors and 20 sponsors at that meeting. Just to give you a few highlights, you'll see here that Dr. Kathleen Allison, who was the trustee for 2018-19, introduced the conference, kicked it off. We had Dr. Michael Quinn Patton and the Lower Center provide our keynote address on evaluation. Very, very stimulating session. Dr. Adenike Bito, to the right, the lower right-hand corner, was actually provided her presidential address and was part of turning over the gavel, if you will, to our new president. We had exceptional posters and presentations throughout the conference, and the Sophe annual all-member business meeting was a time on your lower right hand screen here where new Sophe offices were inducted, and we thank those who served during the past year. It was a very exciting and energizing conference for all of us. Professional development is a key part of what we pride ourselves here at Sophe in terms of delivering things topics that you need to do your job better. And this past year we offered 33 webinars and another 28 self-study articles through our three Sophe journals. Hopefully you were able to participate in one or more of those continuing education activities. With our Sophe chapters, we actually provided 5,768 continuing ed contact hours, or also those that are certified in public health, credits for them. And I think we remain one of the largest providers of continuing education for CHES and MCHES with NCHES. And then another highlight was hosting China dignitaries for 2 weeks here in Washington, D.C. and New York City, where they came to learn more about the best practices that we have in the U.S. For health education. And this is the second year we've done that, and it's really been a joy, a very privilege as part of our global leadership for health education and health promotion. Awards and recognition. This is really another highlight of Sophe. We gave out more than $20,000 in awards and scholarships this past year. Some of that is due to the generosity of you on the phone contributing to our 21st Century Fund, which I'll talk about later. But because we've been able to build up that corpus of funds, we've been able to support 19 students to attend the annual meeting in Columbus or the Advocacy Summit. And the board increased the amount of each of those awards from $500 to $800 this past year. So we're giving more funds to students to attend the conference and have that first professional experience. We also have our Drenkin Scholarship Awards. It's an endowment that Sophe has. Oh, I'm hearing some feedback. I'm sorry. If someone could put yourself on mute. We increased the amount of scholarships awards to $2,000 to each of those students that received the awards. And we awarded 2 Sophe CDC Unintentional Injury Prevention Fellowships at $2,000 each. Again, this is a program we've been supporting students to do a project in behavioral science and health education in the area of unintentional injury, and we've been proud to collaborate with CDC since the late 1990s. We also, for the first time, awarded our Brick Lancaster Student Internship Award for a student to do an internship in a public health agency or a public health department. And we had one of those students with us that completed her internship at the annual meeting. And another one is being awarded this year, and that application process is open now until May 15th for those that might be interested. We had 3 journal papers of the year that are open access. Those also received monetary awards, and then it was also our honor to present our 2017 Honorary Fellow Award to Representative John Lewis, and as you can see, that was during our Advocacy Summit, and we got to actually present that in person with him in the Sophe leadership. In terms of advancing research and practice, our journals continue to receive high praise and marks as demonstrated by the large number of manuscripts that get submitted to all of those journals each year. Again, these are membership benefits that come to you. In this case, a total of 16 different issues, that is 6 each for health promotion practice and health education and behavior, and 4 issues of pedagogy and health promotion. Each of those journals continue to advance the research and practice of our field. And in addition, this year we had some shifting chairs on the deck in that we promoted or thanked Dr. John Algrante for his 7 years of service as Health Education and Behavior Editor-in-Chief, and Dr. Jesus Ramirez Velez, who was our Health Promotion Practice Editor for the last 5 years, then moved up to HE&B, applied for that, and was selected to take the journal forward. We're delighted that Kathleen Rowe has been appointed a 5-year appointment to Health Promotion Practice, and she's starting off this year. So we have a very strong standing of scientific publications for the field. And just as a heads up, we also have a new book that's going to be coming out later this year on community-based participatory research with the University of Texas, so stay tuned for that. In terms of membership and marketing, we turned over our new website in 2017. Thankfully, we got into a more mobile-ready platform, and I'm hoping that you found this new website to meet your needs for finding all the information you need for Sophe and valuable resources. Our membership is averaging about 1,461 members throughout 2017, with some ups and downs that are normal for us around the conference. We have been busy actually also benchmarking ourselves against our new strategic plan, which Dr. Michelide will talk a little bit more about. The board also appointed, the president, Dr. Bito, appointed a rebranding task force. You'll hear a little bit more from Dr. Michelide. And we were very proud to receive the organizational award from NCHEC to Sophe this year, honoring our commitment to health education and the credential in our field. Sophe chapters continue to be a highlight of our organization. We now have 23 chapters. You'll see this past year they were very busy and designated 3 new Sophe chapters in Minnesota, Iowa, and the Midwest. And so if any of you are on the phone from that part of the country, I really encourage you to seek out these new chapters and become active within them. We also started a forum for the Sophe chapters to be able to exchange more information on best practice in their organizations. And the board also approved a designated, actually Dr. Birch in his previous presidency, immediate past president, designated a chapter task force to look at some of the ways we could strengthen each of our chapters, as well as the relationship with National Sophe, and we'll be talking about that a little bit more. We also celebrated Chapter Appreciation Month in September of 2017, which is always a time where we like to highlight the good work that chapters are doing, continuing education and advocacy and networking at the local levels. Policy advocacy, a reason why we're here in the nation's capital. We provided a very successful advocacy summit, a learning opportunity for about 112 faculty, students, and other attendees that were engaged for 2.5 days and learning some of the ins and outs of advocacy. Our primary issues were protecting the Prevention and Public Health Fund, which we're glad to be successful thus far in FY18 as well. And we'll be looking to celebrate the 20th summit coming up. For the first time ever, we issued a guidance document on the new administration and the 115th Congress that you can find on our website. So gave an overview of where Sophe's priorities might fit with the new administration's priorities. We adopted 3 new resolutions on promoting the CHES credential, healthy aging, and mental health that are available, and I encourage you to check those out, as they could be resources for you at the local level. And then, of course, multiple advocacy alerts and policy documents were issued from the Advocacy Committee throughout the year. In terms of grants and federal support, I mentioned the Unintentional Injury Fellowship that's been going on for a number of years. We completed a grant activity with Pfizer to do train the trainer workshops on our smoking cessation and reduction in pregnancy treatment, or SCRIPT program, that you may have heard of. So we're being very active in the tobacco arena. And then we completed a 3-year project that we had with CDC on empowering activated communities for health. And one of the slide here shows the tremendous new level of resources that we have available around policy systems and environmental change in tobacco, nutrition, physical activity, and building community clinical linkages. So I really hope you'll be able to check that out. It has a number of ads that you can download and use at the local level, a white paper and a sustainability toolkit, and a variety of media impressions that we generated through both print and radio, where Sophe was prominently featured. In terms of organizational excellence, we have 3 proposals that were pending at CDC to look to continuing to build on the good work that we've done. Whoops, got ahead of myself. One of the other accomplishments this year is we moved into new space. We're at the same physical location in terms of address, so you don't have to worry about that, but we actually were able to negotiate a very beneficial lease for Sophe for a new 10-year home, and did a build-out all based on the lease, and so that Sophe has a new permanent facility that encourages collaboration, better collaboration among staff, and we invite you all to visit our home right near Union Station here in Washington. The campaign for the 21st century was very successful, not only in achieving the goal to launch the Brick Lancaster Fellowship or internship program, which was a $40,000 goal. We also were able to rename the Clarence Pearson program, to name the Clarence Pearson Program Excellence Award, which was a $50,000 goal we had. We had over 230 Sophe members make donations to the 21st Century Fund this past year. And then we launched the Legacy Circle campaign, which was a new initiative of the Resource Development Committee, and I'm very proud to tell you that just in a few short months we raised over $130,000. You'll see here a rendering of the new legacy wall, which is a permanent way to be able to leave your legacy behind here within Sophe. For any contribution of $1,000 and up, your name will be permanently recognized on our Sophe legacy wall. And that is being installed here as a new touchscreen TV here within the Sophe office. But if those of you who can't make it to the Sophe office, we have something just as the next best thing, and that is an interactive website that now is connected to the Sophe website that includes all three of our principal funds that we raise funds for to be able to, of course, further Sophe's mission. The Legacy Circle, as I mentioned, being the newest one of those, which helps to support Sophe's overall operations and mission. The 21st Century Fund, again, that funds our scholarships and other board-directed initiatives. And then our Sophe Heritage Fund to help, it's a campaign to help preserve Sophe's history and to be able to spread the news about the legacy of the health education profession. So we had a very active year this year, and I hope those are a few of the highlights presented to you that you might also take pride in, and I really want to underscore the valuable commitment and support of the Board of Trustees throughout the year in accomplishing all these, as well as our 12 Sophe staff here in the office. It's a privilege for me to be able to bring these results to you on all of their behalf. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Goodman, who is our very capable and good steward of our Sophe funds. Jeff? Jeff, we're trying to get you off mute. Could you be on mute by any chance?
Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. That technology at its finest. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Elaine. And it's really an honor to be here today. This will be a short and sweet presentation because I have wonderful news to share with you all. Sophe is in a wonderful financial position following years of continued hard work, not just of me simply as a steward of the finances, but of the Board of Trustees, of a finance committee, of members and other trustees, of the Resource Development Committee, and of staff like Elaine and Jean Talifero and other staff members that work so hard to make sure we have the core financial basis to continue our mission. So today I'm going to very briefly touch on the following topics that are on the slides in front of you, giving you a quick summary. So obviously an audit's very important, and we have received our 2016 year-end audit. It was exceptionally clean. What that means to you is that we run a very good, tight financial ship internally, meaning when we have an independent auditor come, they don't find fault with what we do and how we process our finances. And that's something to be very proud of. It took us a while to get there. But over the years, we have developed the maturity to essentially run a very clean mechanism and accountability and transparency in everything we do. And so the year-end audit was very, very clean. Also, extremely good news, our 2017 actual results. Now, these are not audited results, and they are still subject to some change as we're still, changing a few, some bookings will change and some numbers will have some changes to them. But as it looks right now, 2017, our fiscal year happens to coincide with the calendar year. Our net income was $118,405. We thought we would have a net income of zero. That was our budget. So we clearly had a wonderful year, $118,000 plus of net income is an extremely good result by any metric at all. So as you can see, we did that through a reduction in expenses and a slight increase in income over what we had budgeted. We should be very, very proud of these results. It took a lot of work, a lot of constant diligence, and again, a shared responsibility among all the groups that I previously mentioned. So it was a very, very great year. Where is our income coming from? This slide sort of tells you by category the sources of where the income is coming from. As you can see, member dues represent only 10%, whereas donations and our investment income represents 24%. So we really appreciate anything that you are donating to us through the legacy campaign that Elaine talked about, or the 21st Century Fund. Meetings are an important source. When you come to our meetings or our advocacy summit, that's 18% of our revenues. And of course, journals and publications and the royalties we receive from them, which is the main revenue source, 21%. Where do we spend our money? Well, in an organization such as ours, membership and operating expenses is the lion's share of our expenses, 57%. That stands to reason. That is a normal level of expenses for an organization such as ours: salaries, rent, electricity. This is normal for an organization like us. Grants and contracts, 18% in 2017. That figure is very standard. In 2017, we were winding down a grant. It costs money to, of course, execute a grant. That was also in 2017 a major source of revenue for us. That will change slightly in 2018. So where are we in 2018? Where are we going? So we are in 2018. We will be at this point in time, we have no grants that are in the budget. We have grant proposals that are out, and we are very hopeful. But you can't budget on hope, as anybody who runs a household knows. So at this point, our total income is lower, but so are our expenses. So we are budgeting, when we budget very conservatively and through a group effort, starting with staff, departmental staff, going on the way up to Jean Talafero, who's our finance director, and Elaine, and the finance committee, and the board of trustees. We come up with a conservative, realistic target, and we expect still a net income of about $47,000. And which is, again, great. Again, a positive flow of income. And so that's very bright news. And we are still very hopeful that we will outperform some of our estimated budget projections. And just to put this all in perspective, I want to show you a 6-year historical financial perspective of how far Sophe has come. Because if you look back to 2012, look at the losses we were incurring. We have grown, we've matured, and we have worked as a team, as a membership society, so diligently to get our financial footing and house in order. And look at the progress we have really made. From 2012, where we had a loss of $372,000, to this year where we have a net income of $118,000. And it's really stunning to see the progress we have made. I'm very proud to be part of an organization where this is how we address things and how we work together to accomplish and make this kind of achievement. The next steps, we will, again, convene monthly. The Finance Committee convenes every single month. Any of you out there that have an interest in finances, please get in touch with us. The Finance Committee is open to both trustees and non-trustees. We welcome you. The 2017 audit will happen in the early fall, late summer, early fall. The 2017 audit happens, and then the audit report is presented to the Board of Trustees. We file with the IRS in November. That is what nonprofits file. It's the tax return for nonprofits. And, of course, we file our California tax next reports along with the 990 filing. Sophe is a California corporation, nonprofit corporation, going back to our roots from 1950. 1950, right? I believe I'm right, give or take. And with that, I'll look forward to any questions at the end, but I'm going to turn it over to our new president, Dr. Angela Michaelides. Excuse me, Angela.
Angela?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. This is Angela Michaelides, your president for the coming year, and I'm absolutely delighted to have this opportunity this afternoon to speak with you about some of the exciting things we have in store for the organization. Sophe has crafted a revised strategic plan for 2017 to 2020 that reflects its core values. These include a continual pursuit of excellence, outstanding service to its members and to society, social justice, diversity, and inclusion among all races, ethnicities, cultures, abilities, and preferences, attention to mentoring and professional development throughout the lifespan of practicing professionals, as well as ethical action in all that we do. Sophe's 2017-2020 strategic plan was developed using results-based accountability, a data-driven, disciplined way of thinking and taking action that organizations use to improve the performance of their programs or their services. Results or goals are clear, and data is continuously collected to measure whether the results are achieved. Let's see how some of our activities planned for 2018 and 2019 will help us achieve the goals of our strategic plan. Our first strategy is to build health education and health promotion capacity. Over the next year, Sophe's staff and the Conference Planning Committee will be diligently preparing to celebrate our platinum anniversary in Salt Lake City, Utah. More than 50 individuals have already joined this planning committee, so thanks to them. In addition, the Health Education Specialist Practice Analysis, also known as HESPA-2, co-sponsored by the National Commission for Health Education Credentialing and Check and Sophe, will commence its work. A 12 to 15 member volunteer panel will perform an in-depth analysis of both the contemporary and future competencies needed by health education specialists. The panel will also draft a detailed content outline of the major areas of responsibility, competencies, and subcompetencies, and the associated knowledge. In addition, Sophe will continue its outstanding webinars and journal self-study offerings so you can continue to receive CE credits throughout the year. We will also be piloting an online advocacy certificate course for the first time, so stay tuned. Our second strategy is to advance health education and health promotion knowledge, practice, and research. 17 of Sophe's renowned journals will be published, including a special supplement in the fall on lessons learned from a 9-year intervention on community systems change to improve healthy eating and physical fitness. The study was conducted by the University of Michigan School of Public Health with support from the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. In addition, Sophe's School Health Task Force has been hard at work writing 3 articles on school health. These manuscripts focus on the status of school health education, barriers to its implementation, and professional preparation, certification, and accreditation. Be on the lookout for publication of these informative articles in the near future. For the past year, Sophe and the Public Health Education and Health Promotion section of the American Public Health Association have been collaborating with the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine Roundtable on Health Literacy. We are writing a school health and health literacy white paper. This document strives to influence the lives of youth via the introduction of health literacy skill sets to help children and adolescents improve and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Once finalized, the document will be shared broadly with the members of the National Academy of Sciences, Sophe, and APHA, as well as K-12 teachers and administrators nationwide. Our third strategy is to promote and advocate for health-enhancing systems and policies. As Elaine mentioned, the Health Education Advocacy Summit will once again be held in Washington, D.C. in the fall. Attendees will spend an engaging 2.5 days in workshops designed to develop and hone their advocacy skills, with the final day of the summit spent visiting officials on Capitol Hill. Please come. In the early summer, Sophe will co-lead a digital health leadership summit. It will bring together thought leaders from the public health sector and academia and the technology sector, including CEOs and health officers, to showcase innovative case studies of existing and future opportunities for collaboration around health promotion. A common agenda prioritizing the use of technology for health promotion will be drafted by the attendees. In addition, the Journal of Health Education and Behavior will publish the proceedings as a supplement. Our fourth strategy is to maximize operational performance. Over the past year, the Resource Development Committee raised more than $30,000 for the 21st Century Student Scholarship Fund, and supporting full-time undergraduate and graduate-level students to attend Sophe's annual conference in the spring or the Health Education Advocacy Summit in the fall. In addition, the committee conceptualized and implemented the Legacy Circle Donor Wall campaign, raising more than $130,000 to help Sophe achieve its future goals related to health education, research, and practice. As Elaine noted, the campaign includes a new wall in perpetuity in the Sophe office to honor contributions of $1,000 or more, as well as new interactive software that features donors to all three of Sophe's campaigns, this Legacy Circle, the 21st Century Fund, and the Sophe Heritage Fund. We're also working hard to encourage academic institutions and nonprofit organizations to join as affiliate organizational members, or AOMs. And we have evaluated and modified the current AOM benefits and marketing materials to appeal to university audiences. All of this important fundraising work will and must continue moving forward. Both the Sophe Chapter Task Force and the Sophe Rebranding Task Force have made recommendations to the Board of Trustees and the House of Delegates for our collective consideration. Plans to evaluate and innovate and implement many of these innovative recommendations will commence over the next year. So I urge all of you to commit by getting more involved in Sophe in 2018 and 2019 and beyond by applying for a Sophe Award or scholarship or nominating a peer, submitting an abstract for presentation at the Advocacy Summit and or the annual meeting, or both, attending the Health Education Advocacy Summit, joining a committee, task force, or community of practice, donating to scholarship and or operational funds, and perhaps even running for a Sophe office this year. Elaine, Jeff, and I are now prepared to entertain questions that you might have. There's a chat room.
Yes,
for your
everyone.
use.
Thank you so much, Angela and Jeff, for those great overviews of both our finances and where we're headed in the year ahead. And I'd invite our over 25 participants here on the phone. I'm sure you must have, or on our webinar here, you must have some questions that you're eager to ask our Sophe elected leaders or myself. So please feel free to type in any questions you might have. And in the meantime, I'm going to ask Angela some, in terms of her passions and why she was interested in running for Sophe president, maybe to give a little bit of a highlight of her background and what she hopes and her hopes and dreams are to be accomplished by, let's say, March 25th of next year. Angela?
Yeah, thank you, Elaine. Well, just by way of background, I joined Sophe in 1992, and for many years was an active participant by reviewing abstracts and serving on the program planning committee. But then I wanted to do more. I was really inspired by the organization's excellence as well as the people and the family that Sophe became. So I ran for secretary, and that was a yeoman's effort of 72 sets of minutes over those 2 years that I served. And then I was trustee for publications and communications, which provided assistance to the work of the journals, a new publication by Carl Furtman and Diane Allensworth. We revised our website. It was really busy. And after that, Sophe decided to separate, to make two different committees for publications and communications, because there's really a lot going on in the organization. So about 10 years ago, I was asked to run, and I said no, that I wasn't ready, that I didn't have the bandwidth, and now I do. And so some of my priorities for the coming year are to look towards the future by maintaining all of the members that we have, recruiting more, and providing more services to an engagement for members. Virtually everyone that I met at the annual meeting, I asked what committee they were joining, and I hope all of you on the webinar today will consider getting involved in a committee, a special interest group. There are so many different ways for involvement, and you can call me personally if you want to brainstorm ideas. I'm also very interested in preserving the history of our organization. 70 years is a real milestone. It's our platinum anniversary, and looking up what the medal means, it talks about it being a reactive medal, and we've certainly done that. But we also want to be proactive in our policy agendas and our movement to make our organization much more visible. So while preserving the history is important, I also want to be looking to the future of how we can further involve Sophe in many of the national coalitions and national efforts that are taking place, and that we're the go-to organization when people think about health education and health promotion. We also are going to be looking very carefully at the recommendations of the chapter task force and work to strengthen those relationships and build the chapter capacity. And finally, a whole issue that has been brought to our attention is the potential need for Sophe to rebrand itself with a new logo and maybe even a new name. And so we've created a rebranding task force that will be coming forth with recommendations and looking at all of the factors that could be involved in such a rebranding effort, including name recognition, finances, impact on the chapters, and the like. So I'm here to serve you, and if there's anything that I can do to get you more fully engaged or to meet your needs as members, don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Well, thank you, Angela. We do have a couple questions coming in here. One here is from Holly Moses this afternoon. I'm glad you're able to be with us, Holly. She asked, how many students attended Sophe 2018? We had a tremendously enthusiastic response from students throughout the Ohio area. There's many professional preparation programs as well as many that are within driving distance of Columbus, Ohio. For those who haven't been to Columbus or had a meeting there, it was a great, hospitable place for us. We estimate, I don't have the number right in front of me, but I think that we indicated close to 280 or so student attendees, and the remarkable part of being in Columbus for the first time as a national conference, about 20% of those attending were not Sophe members yet. So we were able to really reach out to many people that may have an interest in becoming affiliated with Sophe, and we are working now with our membership committee to invite them to forums like this and others as follow-up, so that if they're working in health education, they're doing important work, and we want Sophe to be their professional home. Another question that came in from Suzanne Dreisen, and I'll kick this off to you to Angela to start, but I'll be glad to also chime in. Suzanne asks, we are a new Sophe chapter, and what kind of support is available from national? I happen to know Suzanne is located in Minnesota, so Minnesota Sophe being one of our new chapters. How do we support the new chapters and all chapters that are part of National Sophe's family?
Well, thank you. The most important element is the fact that we have about 24 other chapters that are there to help you every step of the way with their lessons learned, with their materials, and with their enthusiasm. We are one of the recommendations of the chapter task force is to create strategies and materials to publicly communicate affiliation and membership benefits for both Sophe and the chapters. And I know that the staff will be working on that. You also have, in addition to Elaine, two outstanding staffers, Jordan Buckley and Cicely, who are there to provide technical assistance for you as you move, as your chapter develops. We're also going to be developing and sharing some toolkits, training, and other resources for new leaders and chapters, and those we're just in the conceptualization phase at this point as to what those toolkits and training and resources might be. But we anticipate that we'll have those available during Sophe's 70th anniversary year.
Thanks, Angela. One of the other many benefits of affiliating as a local chapter with National is I think there's a strong bond in trying to encourage National Sophe to join national members to join local Sophe and vice versa. One of the things that we can do at the request of the chapter is provide the names and the contact information for all the National Sophe members in your state or geographic area. In addition, we receive the CHES and MCHES listing of 14,000 professionals several times a year, and we can make that available to the local chapter as well as those that are living in your area that you can reach out to for continuing education events. Another benefit is, of course, is that the National Sophe serves as the multi-event provider. So we are responsible for all of the reporting to NCHEC twice or 2 or 3 times a year now. So a local chapter does not have to address that on their own and keep those records for the 7 years required to continue that designation. So just a few of the benefits. We also a local chapter can also designate their student award winner. That's a contribution that, or a payment that National Sophe gives to each chapter, or that opportunity for $100, or I believe it's $100 or $125 that we provide, so that you can acknowledge the excellence of a up-and-coming student member. We also can try to connect you with your Eta Sigma Gamma local chapter, which I think, or local universities if those connections have not yet been made. So there's a number of ways, and we invite those that are thinking about chapters or new chapters to certainly reach out and see how we can assist you in strengthening your growth and your impact at the local level.
In addition, Suzanne, I'm about to write to each of the chapters to offer myself to come out and visit and to do a presentation on childhood injury prevention or disaster preparedness, and some updates such as you heard today, if that would be of interest. We have a small budget for the president for this type of activity, but also perhaps the chapters have some resources that we could share the costs of my coming to your meeting and sharing what I've learned over the last couple of years in this leadership role. Also, there will be coming from the Sophe History Committee some materials that were shared, at the conference related to the history of the chapters. They did a phenomenal job, had a fantastic panel, and I'm sure that will be something of interest to you moving forward.
Jeff, I'm going to ask you to speak to this next question. Since we talked today about getting involved with Sophe and the best way to really engage with other Sophe members in your professional family is to think about being involved in a committee or running for an office. And we have a call for nominations now open. We're, in addition to the various roles like president-elect, which is a three-year term, treasurer, and other trustee roles are 2-year terms, with the exception of our student trustee is a 1-year term. So I wonder if you might speak to someone, what are the kinds of things an individual who's thinking of running for office might have completed or accomplished at this point in their career before they take that next step in running for office?
Sure. Well, I can tell you, I sort of, I call myself an accelerated Sophe member. I've only been a member of Sophe for about 8 years, and I hit the ground running. So after my first year, I became a committee chair, and that's what I encourage people to do. If you're a newer member, get involved in a committee. That's your first networking opportunity, and that really allows you to make the contacts and gets the feel for Sophe. That's what I found. I'm giving you my personal experiences. I made friends. I made contacts. I created my network, and I got the lay of the land of Sophe. And I understood the workings of Sophe, not just my committee, but really the entire structure, if you will, of Sophe. From there, I also made a mark. The more I said yes to activities, and again, this is at your own pace. I just said yes a lot, and so I accelerated myself. But the more you say yes, that allows you to be noticed. And it's at your own pace. But then I really felt that it was time to perhaps look at the board. And so I ran once for a trustee position. I lost. But then I decided, that does not mean anything. And so I still felt that I could bring something to the board. And I also had another skill set of business, having been an executive director and other related skill sets. So I ran for the treasurer position, and I won. And it's been extremely rewarding. I'll be up for re-election, I hope, this coming fall. And I think it's really at your own pace, but I do encourage you to be involved in a committee. That's your first step, is to get involved in a committee. And then use the word yes, at your own pace. That's going to really serve you so well, both in terms of your own networking and being noticed within the community of Sophe. Sophe really operates very much like a family, and that's the best advice I can really give. You'll learn about Sophe. I don't know if there's anything more specific I can say, and it doesn't matter what committee. It can be policy and advocacy. It can be the event planning committee, the conference planning committee. It can be publications. You can make a mark because every member's contribution, we are a member-driven society, and we rely on the members to really make our progress. I know how much I rely on my finance committee to really, look at things. It takes a village to really look at our finances and how much progress we've made over the years. I was formerly highly involved in policy and advocacy, and we made so much progress there. And I'm so proud of the work we're doing, and I'm still looking forward to the Health Education Advocacy Summit this year. And I'm taking a contingent of my students this year. So just say yes. Just say yes.
Very good.
The opposite of Nancy Reagan.
Thank you. Well, some of us are old enough to remember that, Jeff.
Yeah, well, and if you're not old enough to remember, never mind the joke. But anyway.
Well, that was great because you highlighted a few of the committees that we have. There's about over 15 committees that individuals can join. Everything from the awards and committee and advocacy committee, as mentioned, and continuing education, professional development, membership, and you can find these various opportunities and more about those committees on the Sophe website. Once you log in, you have to log into your profile. Really want to encourage you all to make sure that your profile is up to date there, because that's a rich source of information for us as Sophe staff and other committees that are looking for your expertise. But you can kind of check out what are those opportunities and what's your passion. These committees meet by conference call. Many of the committees have short-term kinds of projects to be involved with, so depending upon the time available you have to commit. It may be something like being an abstract reviewer for the annual conference. So within a window of time and at your convenience of looking at those abstracts online, you can complete that and be part of the conference planning committee. If you have more time and you want to participate on some of our committees that meet monthly, including resource development, which is a very active committee, has come up with the Legacy Circle campaign and other things that we're working on. It would require about an hour of your time a month by toll-free conference call, just to give you an idea of what the various range of committees and that time commitment might entail.
Elaine, might I add that if people are looking for an immediate leadership opportunity, we have 14 communities of practice, and probably about half of those are looking for co-chairs. So if you really want to hit the ground running, check those out. Also by logging into your profile.
Terrific, yes. Those communities, if you haven't signed up for them, are all free as part of your membership. I mean, that's included. You can sign up for one or all 14 if you'd like, and they post almost on a daily basis different opportunities that we get here within Sophe. News we get, new resources, new conferences, new funding opportunities that might be applicable to any of your work in the various areas of healthy aging, health communications. So please do take a look at those communities of practice and make sure that you're affiliated or aligned with those that might help you in your work, in your daily work. I want to stress
a good point of entry. Yeah, excuse me. It's a good point of entry if you want to get involved in Sophe as well is to volunteer to review the abstracts. There's always a huge need for people to really thoughtfully evaluate each of the abstracts that come in, and that'll give you a good sense of what the committee looks for in the event that you want to submit an abstract in the future.
Terrific. We have just about 5 minutes, and we'd love to hear more questions from you. So please tell us what you really think Sophe's board needs to address in the coming year that you may not have heard about today, and you want to know what's going on or how we could assist you at the state or local level as well. I wanted to, and while we're waiting for questions, just point out a couple things that sometimes might be missed as Sophe resources. One is our Career Corner, where we're always publishing job opportunities. Sophe also has a very active internship program. That is, we take anywhere from about 6 to 8 interns here in the national office in Washington a year. They're paid internships, and we're always looking to help students get their launch in their career and really get a taste of what it's like to work in the nation's capital and all the wonderful resources that we have and other collaborations we have with different groups. We do so much on social media. I want to give a shout out to our communications team that's posting every day. So if you're not on Sophe's Facebook or LinkedIn accounts, Twitter accounts, you need to be there to again get the latest and greatest from us of what's happening in the health education profession. That team with the Sophe annual meeting started #MyImpact this year, and that's a way for you to tell us the kind of impact that you're having at the state and local level. So some of those are featured, as you'll see on our Sophe homepage, and I think it's really exciting to be able to educate employers about the various ways those from health education research to practice to students are making an impact in improving the public's health. So just a couple things there. And really, again, check out these scholarship opportunities. May 15th is coming up for several of those Advocacy Summit scholarships that we want to give away and make sure that you get a chance to participate and speak truth to power. Gun violence and firearm prevention and research is a top priority for us this year in that Advocacy Summit, and your voice is so needed here. So please take a look at the Sophe website and get involved, as Angela has encouraged you to do so today. Well, seeing no further questions, this might be the end of today's webinar, but certainly not the end of a conversation we hope to have with you as Sophe members. So we look forward to hearing from you as individuals or part of a Sophe chapter. Gigi Holder, who is our new Speaker of the House, is a fantastic leader for all of our chapters this year and going forward. And we have 3 other delegate trustees that are representing chapters on the board, as well as the student voice, as I mentioned. So we're really excited about the positive direction that Sophe is headed, and we know with your energy and your expertise, we can achieve even greater things in the coming year. So thank you so much for participating today. Thank you to Angela and to Jeff for giving fantastic reports. And let's stay in touch.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.